Hey, how are you all today? Welcome to Integrative Preparedness. World War III, it's on everybody's mind. Everybody's talking about it, everybody's thinking about it. So I want to say a few things about it, and they might be a little bit different than what others are saying. I don't know. We will see. But I think it is something for everybody to keep in mind and to take certain steps for. Before we get to that, I have some exciting and important news. Many of you know that there has been a Stonemont slash integrative preparedness gathering in the works, and we've been thinking about trying to figure out when to have that. Well, I have received so many communications from all across the country about people wanting to come. So the date has been set. The date is going to be July 13th. It's a Saturday. It's just going to be a one-day thing. This is the first, maybe many. Maybe it'll be an annual thing. We don't know. But if this works out well, I have no idea how many people will show up, but I'm looking forward to meeting everyone who does. Should be a great time. It's going to be in Johnson County, Kansas. That's all I'm going to say at this time here. I'll be putting more information on the Patreon side. And we'll have a website up with more information about it. And when I put this information up on the Patreon side, I'll put down a little more information and give you all some ideas of motels, hotels around there, maybe some camping places, things like that. And I will have, because I'll be honest, I never really thought about doing this. I didn't really want to do it, but now that other people have said it, I'm starting to get interested in it. And I'm going to make sure we're going to have both mugs and T-shirts. The people who come will be able to order. I don't know that I will print them up for right there because I won't know, what sizes to do. And maybe I'll even have a couple of different ones that you can choose from. But we'll take orders, and I'm going to keep that price way down because people are going to already be spending money to come there, and I don't make my, I don't need. This isn't a place to sell T-shirts and mugs. This is a place where you can get something to remember, the occasion. And I'm in the process of designing a design for it, a logo for the mug and the T-shirts, about the first annual, we'll call it that, Stonemont slash integrative preparedness gathering. And what else do I want to say about that? I don't know. I'll catch up to it, but we'll put more information up over on the Patreon side. Oh, by the way, I meant to start off with the fact that YouTube has demonetized my entire channel. Way to go, YouTube. Of course, I've appealed. We'll see what happens, but whatever. It's not how I make my living, so I'll keep putting stuff up, but regardless of what happens. But that's why I'm also concentrating more on Patreon. I just put up one over there about an indomitable spirit, the importance or the way to develop an indomitable spirit, and I'm putting up another one on developmental flexibility and stretching. All sorts of things is over on the Patreon channel that doesn't get onto the YouTube side. So if you're not with us over there, the link is down below. Love to have you. Okay, World War. Is it coming? The answer to that is maybe. And the further answer is there's no way to know. But the signs sure look like it. Okay. A lot of people have a tendency to think that there is one particular thing or a couple of things that are going to signal, bam, there it is. It's kind of like, Civil War and Revolution and the questions that we occasionally get of when's it going to be time to blah, blah, blah. And the people who ask those questions are the ones who don't really know or understand their history. And the same is because all of those things were the result of many, many years of progression of situations. Okay. And it's the same with what's going on now. And if you look back and you see the two previous, what they call world wars, and you look back pretty much to any conflict, you see that it is a set of steps. Things happen. A lot of things happen. Different things happen all over the place that you might think, well, that doesn't have anything to do with each other, but yeah, they do. They all come together. And I think that's what we're going through right now. That's what we're experiencing, have been for quite a while. We know that the administration, well, the Democrats have always want wars. They always want wars to cover up a bad economy, and people get ticked off, and then they say they need something to pull people together, and so let's have a war, and that's what they've been doing. I mean, it's really one of the only ways that they have a chance of winning this election, other than we know how, right? In the upcoming year, or to try to put Trump in jail. This isn't going to be a political video, but this is their MO. They always do it. And they've wanted a war for a number of reasons. First off, take the people's mind off what's going on locally, I mean domestically, and then to make money. Because wars are fought for money. All wars are about money. If you don't believe me, read Smedley Butler's War is a Racket. Most of you do know that. You know that. Every war that we've had since the Revolution, including that one, was really about money. And if you look back and see who was responsible for those wars and financing those wars and egging those wars on, the pattern is pretty obvious, you know. And they'll start a war, and they will want your sons and daughters to go fight it. And then that's a decision that you have to make. But let's get back to what's going on now. Do I believe that a world war is coming? Is it going to be like a world war that we've seen in the past? Probably not. But so many things are going on right now. It's such a complex situation with so many moving parts. Russia, NATO, the United States, Ukraine, all of these things. The West is determined to start a war with Russia, has been for a long time. Throw in the Israel situation, Israel, Hamas, Gaza, Iran, you know, and then we have a whole lot of additional complexities with Saudi and Egypt, and you know, throw in as much as you want to from the kitchen sink, and you see how almost impossible it is to understand really what's going on. But we hear the drums of war. We're getting closer. We should expect that. Okay, whether or not it happens as we think it might, we should expect it, because when you expect something, you prepare better for it. Okay, and it's important to be prepared for this. Now, how it's going to be fought, it's always going to be, you know, what did Napoleon say? That nations who want to avoid war need to avoid the pinpricks or something like that precede them. Well, nobody's avoiding that. They are poking and poking and poking and poking to ensure that it's going to happen. Now, how is it going to manifest? Sure, we see the things over there now. We see the ground war. We see the air war between Ukraine and Russia, or should I say Russia and the West, because the West is involved. I mean, when NATO countries give their armament to someone who's involved in a conflict, the West is involved in that conflict, and NATO is involved in that conflict. There's no, you know, pussyfooting around that. It's just the way it is. It's the way that we got into World War I with the Lusitania carrying armament to Britain, right? It's the way we got into World War II. It's the way we get into all of them. How this war is going to come about, our own country, our own leadership, we've said this before, this is no surprise, is importing enemy combatants to within our country. Okay, that's one thing you have to be aware of. At the time that any of those who want to act against the United States, whether that is a known enemy or should I say this, a foreign enemy or a domestic enemy, those people are here. They're already here. They don't have to invade. They just have to get out of bed in the morning and go do what they're going to do. I don't know that well, I'm sure we've never been in this situation before. Never. There have always been sleepers. There has always been people who lived in areas that were different than who their allegiance was to. Always spies, always saboteurs, always this and always that, but never anything to this consequence. So those people are here. When a war does start, if it starts, but I'm assuming that it is. We're already in it, I would say. I would expect most of it to be cyber. Okay, I think probably a lot of you would agree with that. Doesn't mean that they might not, pop a nuke for a hemp and EMP situation. They could very easily do that. That's easy. People don't realize how easy that is. But cyber is also easy. Physical attacks on the grid are all so easy. And I would say this. I don't think there's any reason to feel that it's not going to happen. And I hate saying that. I don't think there's any reason not to expect it to happen. You can say, well, back when the nukes were the big danger, we had the MAD doctrine, mutually assured destruction. And so nobody wanted to get lit up and destroyed because they lit somebody else up. Well, nowadays it's different. And we know, I won't get into the weeds here, but those of you who have followed some of the information over on the Patreon channel, we have some very smart people over there having to do with EMP and all. Or if you just kept up with the news, you know that our systems have been under attack. Our water systems have been under attack. Our grid's been under attack. Our internet's been under attack. Our communication systems have been under attack. And every time one of those things happens, it makes life difficult for the people involved. And not, you can say that, well, they weren't all that successful. Maybe not. Maybe they were as successful as they needed to be because they were simply probes and they were finding out the defenses. I mean, that's common, right? That's basic warfare. We've seen now also a threat against our food supply. That's internal, right? Enemies foreign and domestic. The bird flu, is that real or is it Memorex? I don't know, you don't know. We have our suspicions. But I've said this before. If I really wanted to take out a population, I would make them not trust what the government says and then release a big one that was real. And then nobody would believe, the CDC that says, you need to, be careful about this one. They were lying about the last one. They're lying about this one. And then all of a sudden you got people dropping dead all over the place. What did I read this morning? That 1 in 5 gallons of milk, and I'm not sure whether that was nationwide or just in the states but there's quite a few states that they have found this avian flu in cows, Kansas being one of them. Where I live, Texas another. There's a number of them. So whether this 1 in 5 gallons of milk that they have found traces of avian flu in, whether that's nationwide or just in these states, it doesn't matter to the people just in that states. Is that a risk? They're telling us now that it's not. They've told us other times that there's not. But whether it's a risk or not, is this going to be used to put a restriction on the production of milk? We've seen whole flocks of chickens being slaughtered. We've seen many things. You all know as well as I do. We've seen an attack on many of our our food sources. Okay. And of course, now they don't want us to eat beef. They want us to eat bugs and stuff like that. I didn't do one on this. I meant to, but last week was a busy week. What about that tanker, that fuel tanker that exploded just right under a bridge? What perfect positioning, right? Hit by another truck under I-95, a major thoroughfare up there in the Northeast, isn't it? And it put that bridge out of commission for how long? Quite a while. We see these attacks on our delivery system. So we see the world brewing for war. We see attacks on our food supply. We see attacks on our delivery system. I am starting to see shelves that aren't as full as they were before. We see the rise in prices. And we have an election coming up. And they're trying to put the former president in jail. What could possibly go wrong, as the saying is, right? Well, I think that what you need to do is assume that there is going to be a world war. And then if there's not, great. But this low intensity conflict, you can be sure will continue. Where it's an all out deal or not, the low level will continue. And the way to prepare for that is simply to increase your basic and advanced preparedness, food, water, shelter, defense, people. It's nothing fancy, but your reliance on external supply is your weakness. And the more you can reduce that, the better shape you're going to be in. Whether it's a lack of available items or just that they're going up in price so much that it's putting the bite on you. Everything that you can get now is probably going to be a little bit cheaper than what you can get down the road. This is probably a pretty good time to go in and fill in any gaps that you have. And also talk to the people around you. Your circle of friends, your family. Talk to them. It's a good time to discuss concerns. Not only will you get a better sense of how they're feeling about things, it'll give you a chance to kind of, let them know how you're feeling about things. And it will let you know whether there's going to be a cohesion there or a fragmentation there among the people you know. Now, that won't be a guarantee as to what will happen if something really big happens. People don't always talk their walk. So people will surprise you. They'll say one thing now and do something else later. We know that, but to just kind of tighten up your communications with people, keep an eye out what's going on and be ready is going to be your best defense against whatever happens. And should we expect these, the demonstrations at the colleges, that's the next thing too. I think I'll stop this now because I want to talk about that on its own. This reminds me so much of 1968. It's the student riots, the conventions coming up. These people who hate America. Before it was our own students, right? That Abby Hoffman, whatever her name, Angela Davis, SDS, Students for Democratic Society. The Weather Underground, all these kinds of things. Well, there were a bunch of, domestic terrorists who are now college professors. But they started off Americans, right? Now we have people who have been radicalized and who hate America. And they're over here taking over our colleges. Totally different world. Much more dangerous situation as far as I'm concerned. We'll see what happens. Well, before I let you go, I want to remind you that, this is a great time since YouTube demonetized my channel to remind you that actually the sponsor of this and all of my videos are the Stonemont series, my books that I wrote myself. That's right, I wrote myself. I'll tell you a funny story. Well, I'll have to save that for later, but it was a very strange comment that I received from somebody. My books, the Stonemont series, The Reversion, The Revival, The Renewal, and Appeal to Heaven, The Blessings of Freedom, and Hostages to Fortune. You can get them directly from me, which is how I love for you to do it, through our website, stonemont.us. And I'll sign them and put a note in there. Love to do that. You can also get them through Amazon. They get them to you faster. I don't get to sign them for you if you do it like that. Amazon also, you can get the Audible through Amazon. And I can't do that for you. Through Amazon, you can get the paperbacks, Kindle, and Audible. From me, you can only get the paperbacks, but I get to sign them for you. And like I say, write a little note, and I love doing that. And all of those links are down below, as is the link to the Patreon channel if you'd like to join us. And if YouTube keeps on playing with me, we'll just kind of see what happens. But remember again, before I let you go, the Stonemont Integrative Preparedness Gathering has now been set. July 13th. Somebody will say, you say July funny. You say July. Well, that's just the way I was thinking. July 13th. It will be in Johnson County, Kansas. Further details will be available. I'll decide whether I'm just going to do that on the Patreon channel. Another good reason to be there. Or how much I will share here or through the website. We will see, okay? I'll make that determination upon further reflection. Get ready. Is a world war coming? Could be. We don't know. We don't know. But better to be prepared and then it not happen than it happen and you not be prepared, right? Okay, good. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. Get out there and do something, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.